Okay, you guys, I think it's about time that I talk to you guys about this. Before I start the discussion, please make sure you subscribe and bell the Robert Little channel so you know when new content comes out. I offer amazing advice and tutorials as well as live stream Photoshop and Illustrator courses. And if you want to be a part of that, make sure you're first in line. And don't forget to smash the like button if you typically learn something today. Now, if you guys didn't see that was my actual degree. That's my MD MFA from Full Sail University. Now, it's not called the MD MFA anymore, at least I don't think. I think they call it just the MFA through media design or whatnot. So media design, MFA, or Mastery of Fine Arts. It's really the same thing or whatnot, but I got this back in like 2015, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit about it because it's something that I need to tell you about. A lot of people ask me questions about being a graphic designer or actually just being a t-shirt designer, or, you know, just kind of bring it up in conversation like you went to school for this stuff. So I want to talk to you guys about it, and I want to tell you guys my position on this stuff, and I want to tell you guys exactly how I feel about it and if you need to go to school for it or not. So this is Full Sail University. Now, a lot of people know about Full Sail. A lot of people call it a scam and all that stuff. I don't think it's a scam. I think it was pretty good. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But when I first enrolled, like, here's my story about this. So when I first enrolled, I was at Lincoln University, and I was just, you know, some kid that was like, well, I went to school and I'm not trying to be a music director, nor am I trying to be a journalist, even though I'm a journalist here. Like, this space right here is kind of like for journalism, but I don't want to be a journalist. I'm like, I don't want to write. Like, I don't want to do anything like that, you know? So I decided to re-enroll in school, and I was just like, you know, I can get into like the things that I liked about journalism, which was the graphic design portion and just making layouts and stuff like that. And I was like, I like that, you know? I want to be a graphic designer. And I actually had like Miss Blue and White talk to me back then. You know, she was telling me like, if you don't want to be a musician or you don't want to be a journalist, you know, why don't you just get into something different? And that's when I was like, well, yeah, I'm gonna be a graphic designer. And as life started going at Lincoln University, I was just like, I don't want to be a teacher. I really don't want to be a journalist. I don't even want to go to school anymore. I was just like, this is almost it for me, you know, but I don't want to go back home to St. Louis with nothing. So I finished out the program. And as I was finishing, I was like, you know, let me get my master's, you know, let me get this master's. And I got into Full Sail University. Now, they gave me this free MacBook, which was amazing. Like, I still use the MacBook that they gave me. And they gave me a lot of stuff, like a lot of tools. Like, they gave me Photoshop. For the first time, I actually had a real version of Photoshop. Like, everybody downloads Photoshop off of some site, and I'm not going to name. But then I got, like, Illustrator and stuff like that, and a whole bunch of other programs. I got Final Cut Pro, and just stuff like that actually helped me out during the program, which was amazing, okay? But then it came down for me to actually get in classes and stuff like that, and it was like, oh, you got this mastery course, which was, for starters, it's almost like freshman enrollment. You know, that freshman enrollment class that you got to take at, like, colleges. Well, I'm not sure if you guys are even in college, so if you're in college, it's like that freshman enrollment class that you got to take. If you're not in college, it's kind of like a weeding session. So like, everybody in the program that starts the program during this month has to take this one class or whatnot. So it's almost like 100 people there. And basically what it's about is, you know, you finding who you are. Who are you and what you're trying to do with this degree program. So, you know, it's kind of like connecting the dots, basically. And then I moved from there, and I moved into other classes, stuff like that, like defining clients' needs, which is, you know, really good because you actually need that if you're going to be a graphic designer. And then other things that led to my final class, which was pretty much my thesis and getting my thesis accepted and all that type of stuff. So here's the problem that came for me in 2013. So Full Sail is a good school. I'm not going to lie to you. You know, like, I'm not going to BS you. You do have to take a lot of courses in just 12 months. And that 12 months actually does kind of put you in like a disadvantage for other things, like worldly things. So like, if you got to go to work and you got to pay rent and you got this project coming up on like Wednesday or Friday, or you got to turn something in on Sunday, you might as well just kind of plan for that, you know? And it was like that, but it wasn't nothing hard, you know? Like, just know that on Wednesday and Friday, you had deadlines. So if you're into the graphic design field, or if you're into like business and stuff like that, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, it wasn't that hard to figure out, you know? And where you would get like an F or something like that in class, if you were to miss those deadlines in life, you'll be getting a lawsuit. When you get into it, it's like you have to adhere to deadlines, and you have to be able to do these deadlines, because if you don't, chances are you're messing up somewhere in life, you know? So these deadlines actually condition you to do things. I know for me, after I graduated, I missed some deadlines like for myself, and I was like, oh, like, I would have got an F in class if I didn't hit this deadline on like the correct time. So don't mess that up, you know? Another thing about the Full Sail classes that I kind of already touched on was 12 months and you have 12 different classes, which means that I wasn't really always absorbing what was going on in these different classes, and it was kind of accelerated. So it was like, okay, like every week was something different, you know? I would get the work done, but I would never really fully understand the work, you know? And that's not something that a graphic designer wants, you know? Now, if you guys can actually sit back and understand it, you know, actually develop it and stuff like that, which they weren't teaching. They actually expected you to actually be a graphic designer already, somebody who was working in the industry, and then actually getting into media design, the Master of Fine Arts. So you guys, I came from a different background. I came from like journalism and music, and then try to get myself into the media design course, which was for my MFA. So when I started messing around with that stuff and I started like really understanding what was going on, it was kind of too late. And I didn't understand why my professors was telling me like, hey, you need to really sit back and go over these books that we're giving you and stuff like that. Now the books that they were giving, amazing, okay? And I could recommend you guys these books. I just got to find them. So if you guys want these books, let me know in the comment section below and I'll find them and I'll give you guys the links and stuff like that. But those books actually helped me out as a designer. I kind of understood a little bit more about life and stuff like that. And it gave me like a different eye, you know, for the world. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, I look at things a little bit more differently than I did when I was like 23, 24. I got to like month 4 and I dropped out because I just couldn't hang. And the reason why I couldn't hang was because I was going to work and stuff like that. Now, it wasn't because, you know, I wasn't into graphic design and stuff like that. But then again, that was just this small portion that was saying like, no, you're not really a graphic designer either. Now, here's the thing. When I got into Full Sail, I was only using Photoshop. And this has nothing to do with anything. Well, it kind of does. And the thing about Photoshop is that you're actually manipulating photos, which is not bad because, you know, you have to make a design. The design is just a plan, okay? But when it came down to it, I wasn't making my own elements like I am now. So when it came for me to deliver things, and they had this very strict policy about plagiarism and copyright and stuff like that, when it came down to that, I knew my professors were looking at my work like, you're stealing somewhere. And I was not trying to get an F and stuff like that. So that was my first thing that I couldn't hang with. I couldn't hang with that stuff. And I had to develop my own Illustrator skills. And I had to develop like other skills for like After Effects and other things like that. So that was one of my challenges. Like, I didn't think I'd ever get past like Full Sail because I was still stuck in Photoshop. And that's kind of crazy. And another reason why I couldn't hang out with Full Sail, which was kind of like, you know, why? But when we were doing research, like, and we had to write like papers and stuff like that, I was still stuck on like the APA method, the MLA method and stuff like that, which no, that's not what we were looking for. We was looking for actual research. And that's kind of crazy because a lot of people don't know exactly how to research or whatnot. I was turning in like essays, and my professor one day was like, I like that you did it like this, but this is not the research that we're going for. We're trying to actually give like research on like an actual, you know, company and stuff like that, not his background. I mean, yes, some of his background and stuff like that. And, you know, but we need like a report, not a essay, you know what I'm saying? And that took me a minute to understand. I was like, well, I am giving you guys a report. But then it was like, oh, wait, no, a business report, a business proposal. And I was sitting there like, oh, my God, did I go to school for business or did I go to school for design? And that was a third reason why I couldn't hang with Full Sail at that time. I was just like, I thought this was art school. And it took me actually to re-enroll back into Full Sail to understand that design is the marriage between art and business. This is the marriage in between. So when you put that stuff together, you get design. And I was like, oh, well, now I got it now, you know? So you guys are asking for reports. You're looking more like a business report. When you're asking for like a look and feel, then you're looking for the art, but it has to make sense in business for it to be an actual design. So I get it now, you know? So I had to drop out of school. I took like maybe a year off, and then, you know, I went back to school, and then I, you know, finished out everything. But here's the thing. When I dropped out, I had a C+ average, which means I was failing the master's course. I know that sounds crazy, but C doesn't mean that you're passing, okay? I mean, it does mean you're passing, but then you're going to be on like academic probation and stuff like that. So when I came back into the program, they let me back in, but it was under provisions that was saying, you have to get an A in every course. And I was just like, A in every course? Challenge accepted, all right? If I was to get an A in every program, that meant God wanted me to be a graphic designer, okay? Which means that since I was 2 years old, I was supposed to be a graphic designer. And when I picked up my first piece of paper and my first pencil and I drew Batman, this was what I was supposed to be. So I accepted the challenge and I went off and I did it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the first 2 or 3 months of me coming back was easy. It was like clockwork, because what we did was we studied art history, which was like John Tichhold and stuff like that. I think I studied the Renaissance period of like art and stuff like that. And I also did I think I also did like the Swiss era and whatnot. So I actually learned Swiss design, and that was like amazing because the program shifted basically. So the beginning when I came in, like the point that I ended up at the end of like the second time I came back was the point that I ended up at when I started the first time. So like I was doing a bunch of work, and then we hit that one section of like the class period where we was pretty much putting our thesis together. But when I came back, it was a little bit more instructive. It was a little bit more about you learning and stuff like that. I guess people that was dropping out the program at the time was like, well, I can't do it because I don't know nothing about design. You guys are just putting me into this program. So they changed the program just a little bit. And when I came back, it was more about like learning and refreshing yourself to be a graphic designer and then connecting the dots into business, okay? It was pretty much a good program. Like I learned about art history, like I said. I learned a little bit more about how to present. And then we started like a mock thesis. Now my mock thesis was in, let's give it a drum roll, apparel clothing design. So what I do here on like YouTube was exactly what I was doing in Full Sail, except it wasn't about me making an actual t-shirt or anything like that. It was more about me branding an actual shirt line and stuff like that. I think it wasn't even a shirt line. It was like an apparel company. So it didn't matter if it had like t-shirts or like pants or anything like that. Basically, I was supposed to put a branding on top of it. Now, like I said, it was accelerated, so I didn't really dive too deep into it because I guess maybe because I wasn't really understanding it for real. Like I was just kind of like putting my hand in it, diving it in and getting it out. And as a matter of fact, I might even go back over on this channel, that actual project, and kind of like put my new spin on it, like a update version of what I would do with that actual project. It was called Purple Squirrel, and it was for like multi-generational women and stuff like that. So from the ages of babies to like 65, which was like asinine, but that's just how I did it. And I mean, it was a good project, you know. Like I said, I might go ahead and do this on the channel again, and we can actually work on that project together. And if you guys are at Full Sail, let me know in the comment section below. But let's move on. So after I finished that project, I moved into another project, which I know I did horrible on. Like, I don't think anybody, well, people like it. People liked it. The professor had his own little hand in it or whatnot. I don't think I got like the entrepreneurial kind of like experience that I did from like the previous one, but in this one, it was more about like, you know, they came to me about it and they wanted me to brand it, you know, which was different from the other one, which was like, you are an entrepreneur. We want you to make a brand for this, and then we're going to talk about it. You know, so that second one, which was my thesis, which I feel like I bombed on, but, you know, everybody kind of liked it, was good in that sense that, like, now I'm getting, like, a client kind of experience or whatnot. So not only did I get, like, my own, like, start your own business kind of experience, I also got, like, a client experience or whatnot, and that's kind of cool in its own. But when I started the actual second portion of, like, this thesis or whatnot, I feel like my professor was more of a, I can't really say, he was a dick, okay? And I feel like he kind of wanted me to do something more on his end or whatnot, which showed me a whole lot about, like, clients, you know, because I'm just going to keep it real. Sometimes you have that client from hell. And he was definitely that client from hell. Like, I don't like this. You know, it doesn't answer to anything. It's not telling me anything about the brand, the business. It's not being reflected. The business is not being reflected in the actual project. He tore me down. And this was something that I actually had to get my spirits back up from. Because when you deal with, like, clients and stuff like that, you're not always going to have, like, the best time, you know. I actually have a client. I actually have more than one client from hell, you know, and I can actually talk about those. Those could be actually story times or whatnot, but I'm not going to do story times like that on the channel. But I will talk about it, you know, coming through in the channel, stuff like that. We got to make it to 100,000 subscribers first, because if I do that, like, that's something that's big, you know, so we'll talk about that. But I actually do have some clients from hell, and he was definitely one of them. Like, he was one of them. But at the end of the day, like, after I got done with that one, I was relieved to get out of there. Like, I was relieved, and I feel like I was more equipped to do different things in life. So that's the story of my Full Sail experience. I feel like it was good, but do you need that as a t-shirt designer? Now, no, I don't think you need to go to school for t-shirt design, but if you want to take some courses, then here's some things that you want to think about. So you want to take a business course. That's off tops. Like, if you go back to one of my earliest videos or whatnot, you would see that I was pretty much talking about business stuff. I was saying that you need to have relevant marketing, relevant advertisements and stuff like that. You need to have an actual audience and an actual group of people. You need to talk about character profiles. You need to know that type of stuff. A/B testing. A lot of people know A/B testing t-shirt design and stuff like that. Well, they don't know how, but this is pretty much defining the client's needs. So that old playlist that I have that I started my channel off of, you guys got to know. Articulate art history into different type of stuff. I know one of my friends did Art Deco into his designs, and that made his designs a little bit more like creative. Not only that, it made it more structured, you know, so having that structure, consistency in graphic design, you actually need that. You need art history, you need the business side. You might need to take like color theory, and you need to take beginner to like advanced drawing. Figure drawing, you know, not just regular drawing, like figure drawing, you know, so I think that's a good thing. I personally think you guys should take typography classes and actually understand typography, because typography actually goes a long way. But that's pretty much it. So if you're gonna take classes, take those classes. Now, oh yeah, layout. I'm not even gonna forget that one. Layout. You actually need to take layout. I think layout is amazing. But with that being said, you guys, that's pretty much it. So I hope I did Full Sail some justice. I learned a lot. I'm an MD MFA graduate or whatnot, and if there's anybody else down there, let me know. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you learned something, and if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to me. I do this all the time, and don't forget to bell me, because I'm trying to go live and teach you guys Photoshop and Illustrator as if it was like a live course from Full Sail. I'm just gonna keep it real. But with that being said, you guys, I gotta get up out of here. So stay amazing, stay creative, above all else, stay awesome.